What's up? It's me again, SAP Dude. How you doing? How you feeling? Let me know in the comments or drop a message on LinkedIn. In this video, we will together jump into details of phase-based maintenance in SAP S4HANA. Let's get into it. Few things beforehand. This video is a follow-up to the one where I explained step by step the phase-based maintenance process with SAP. If this model is totally new for you, it makes sense to jump to the video which you see now on the screen. If you know the drill already, you may also remember that we implemented this process for one of our clients, Texas Workshop. And today we will do some tune-up of this setup for them. Why? Let me explain. What you see right now is the classical 9 phases model. Phases have also sub-phases on work order header and operation levels. The ones I'm showing now have been implemented in Texas Workshop and they come from SAP best practices. During your studies or implementation projects, I'm more than sure you've been asked by your clients, what if we want to skip some phases or come back from one phase to the previous one? It is impossible to get rid of phases. We have to stick to 9 of them. But yes, switching phases, coming back to a previous one is possible. Another question which you got asked, I guess, is doesn't mean we cannot use user statuses anymore? And here SAP introduces something called phase control codes. I will also cover them in this video. Let's see the business case. Folks in Texas Workshop have the following problem. 20% of their PMs, so preventive maintenance orders, have to be rescheduled even though they got already dispatched to their technicians. There are many reasons behind it. Delays in permits, compliance issues, spare parts availability. What does it mean business-wise? Such orders have to be put back to scheduling, maintenance planner will define new dates and dispatch the tasks to technicians. Not a big thing, right? But not with the phase-based model. What you see right now is an work order example from Texas Workshop. I'm now in RSH solution and I will dispatch this operation. It means we are now in the 7th phase called execution and sub-phase called ready for execution. Now if the planner cancels this dispatching, we jump back to the order, the execution phase is still there. Nothing happens, no phase switched, and we will change that. What you see is the overview of all the standard SAP phases, sub-phases for the phase-based model. I prepared this board with many other assets. If you want to access it, check out the description of this video. And here is the place where we want to do some changes. So we want to be able to come back from ready for execution sub-phase to ready to schedule sub-phase. This way we will move from execution back to scheduling. Let's go even further. We want to give Texas Workshop an option to go back from scheduling to preparation phase as well. Why? I was talking about spare parts. Ideally, scheduling should not start before spare parts are not available in the warehouse. And this way we can finally go to the configuration. We will use something called alternative sequence. Let's do it. SPRO, plant maintenance, maintenance and service processing, Fiori apps, configure overall status profiles, define overall status profile. We select the profile. This is the one which comes from the best practices of SAP. So ideally, if we need to further customize standard objects, we should create a copy of this one and work on a new object, right? I know you are aware of that. Maybe that's why I will do direct changes on the existing profile. But please have it in mind in your system. We jump to alternative sequence and click new entries. What we need to do? In the first column we'll have the profile, which you saw before. In the second column we indicate the sub-phase from which we can jump to another sub-phase, which will be in the third column. Looking back on our board, this is what we want to do. We want to go back from R065 sub-phase to R060. We expect once this happens, also the whole phase changes. So we go back from execution to scheduling. That's why I add a new entry, profile, Now I select R065 and then in the third one R060. Good stuff. Now let's test it. So this is the order. It's again dispatched. We see the execution phase, SAP phase ready for execution. Now let's cancel the dispatching and see what happens. We go back to the order and voila, it got moved to the scheduling phase. Of course, if I go back to RSH and do the dispatch and again back in the order, the phase gets changed to execution. This works how we want it. You remember, I also mentioned that we want to move back from scheduling to preparation phase. Does it work right now? Let's see. So again, cancel the dispatch. Then we go to the order itself, we see the phase and let's select cancel ready to schedule. What happens? Nothing. I put it back to ready to schedule, save it, and we jump to the configuration. And now in the alternative sequence table, we add another entry. This time we want to jump from SAP phase R060 to R055. Let's save it and do a quick check. We are in the order and again I select cancel ready to schedule. Over here we see the phase and SAP phase changed. The order moved back to the preparation phase. Good stuff. What you just saw is an additional configuration of phase-based model which you can have in your project. Before we finish, we got the second use case. Texas workshop faces problems with spare parts availability. Yes, they run availability check via SAP, but quite often reality, what they have in SAP versus what they have in stock is different. This is for instance because of many ad hoc orders for which spares are taken, let's say, spontaneously from MRO area. Of course, from business standpoint, this has to be improved, but for now, they ask for some interim SAP solution. And we will use here so-called phase control codes, a new feature which is part of phase-based model. To give you a better understanding what it does, let's go back to our board. In simple words, phase control defines if we can move from one phase to another. In Texas Workshop case, before they move from preparation phase to scheduling, they want to have something like an extra check regarding spare parts. It means if the check is not performed, order cannot be technically moved to another phase. Maintenance planner won't be able to schedule the orders and dispatch them to technicians. So we need something like a user status back in the days, which is activated only for specific phase, and if not deactivated, we cannot move to another one. In this case, scheduling. Let's jump to SAP and do some configuration. I intentionally set something like a user status back in the days. Why? Phase-based model technically can work with user statuses. By the way, status profiles have to be even assigned to these order types. You will see it in a second. But we cannot use phase control and user statuses in parallel for the same order type. Keep it in mind. And yeah, as I mentioned, first thing is to create user status profile. I create only one dedicated to order header. If you are confused, give me like extra 3 minutes, you will get my point. I give it a name, something like this, ZPMORD01. The name already indicates that we use it for PM orders. Description, order statuses, EAM, header. We go inside, object types, maintenance order. User status. Now let's define the user statuses. I will enter something like spare parts availability manually checked. I give it a technical code. I will also add an extra code called signed off by maintenance manager. We will get to that later. We don't need to maintain the things on the right side. We save it. Now we go one step back in the config and have to assign the profile to our order type. In my case, I use this one. We did not create a separate status profile for operation, because in our case, we'll operate on header level only. But please keep it in mind during your project, maybe it will be a case for you. We save it. And after this, let's say, pre-configuration, we can finally jump to the phase control codes. Again, these work only for order types for which phase-based model is active. I click Create New Entries, select my order type, and select Order Header. Okay, Now we go to define face control codes, new entries. I will stick to the nomenclature we had for user statuses when it comes to description. But the technical name has to be changed, otherwise we receive an error that the name is taken by the user profile already. Now for the first one, we click the checkbox Auto. It means once the preparation phase is reached, this code will be set automatically for our order. This way, maintenance planner won't be able to move it to scheduling phase. If we don't set this indicator, phase code has to be manually added to order. And this will be the case for our second code, which we got here and which I will explain later. Codes can be linked to authorization objects, so only specific people can manipulate them in your orders. Keep it in mind as well. Now it's time to add the logic. We select the first status and click Define Phase Controls. We add a new one. Now we want to automatically activate the code once the preparation phase is there in our order, including the SAP phase in preparation. And the second part is, this way we also want to block moving it to the next phase, which is scheduling, and SAP phase ready to schedule. Now let's select the first line and jump to Adjust System Statuses. This status came automatically as the preparation phase gets triggered once order gets released status. If you need to add more conditions, this is the place where you do it. In Texas Workshop case, we are fine. We go to the second line. System status ORSC is also there automatically. It got pulled from the phase itself. Let's save it. We go back to our board. So this is what we want to achieve. We want to have an extra double check of spare parts availability before an order moves from preparation to scheduling phase. Let's see if this is the case. I quickly create an order. Let's release it. We see the phase preparation, SAP phase in preparation. Now we go to the change status and we see ready to schedule is grayed out. It's because of the phase code which got assigned automatically as we configure it. To see it, we go to the tab Phase Control. Here on the list we will see only the relevant codes assigned automatically or manually for specific phase. So to be able to move the order to scheduling phase, I have to deactivate this phase control code. We save it and now change status ready to schedule. The order is now in the scheduling phase. This is it. As an extra thing, let's do something else. In Texas Workshop, they have something like a sign-off of maintenance orders. This is done by maintenance managers for selected orders. So here, after the work done SAP phase and before TCO, technical completion, this sign-off has to happen. And we will cover it with phase control code. We go back to SPRO. This is the code and now we add the logic. We want to give the business the possibility to activate it once post-execution phase is there and the SAP phase is work done. Moreover, we want to block moving to completion phase and TCO SAP phase. Quick check on the system statuses. Confirmed, job finished, correct. And TCO. Let's save it. Now we move back to the order. In the meantime, what I did, I accessed RSH, dispatched the order and moved it to execution phase. Now as a technician, I just want to mark the whole work as done. So I do the final confirmation like this. We go back to the order. We are in the post-execution phase and SAP phase work done. We jump to the tab Phase Control. And for this particular order, before it gets T-code, sign-off is needed. So I add the phase code which I configured some minutes ago. And we see the code is there and it blocks the technical completion. Let's say the sign-off is given, we save the order and now TCO can be set. Good job! You just saw how to deal with alternative sequence in phase-based model and phase control codes. When it comes to phase control, before you implement it, please make sure it's really needed. Whatever requires manual manipulation is like an additional step for users. However, if you work in pharma industry for instance, it might be a must-have for you. So I totally get that. That's it for this video. Before we finish, one extra thing from my side. Many of you send me private messages like, hey, we cannot load best practices and we need to set phase-based model manually in the system. First thing, it's kinda weird because at least in your sandbox system, your basis team should be able to do that. If this is really the case, I prepared a package which you see now on the screen. It's basically a list of all the steps and tables which you gotta maintain. You just copy the values, go to your sandbox system, paste them over there, and within 25 minutes you got phase-based model configured and ready to go. You will also find there access to the board which I showed you in this video and other stuff. If you are a bit behind, it means you are new to SAP Asset Management or just want to structure your knowledge in a modern, user-friendly way, consider checking my SAP EAM Ultimate course with 17 hours of maintenance work, real case scenarios, config, and way more. For now, thanks a lot, keep it real, keep it clean, and see you in another one. Cheers!